Hey, um, as I said last time, my name is Stanley Zamor, and the variety of different things that I do, I don't want to talk about all that today. But today, what I want to talk about is something that kind of means something deep to me, as it deals with young people, as well as more mature people, but mostly the young people out there. I had the pleasure of taking a nephew of mine to a sporting tryout, let's just say, okay? And he was so excited. I picked him up, and he was just, Uncle Stanley, I can't wait. I'm gonna go there and show them my moves, and they were happy, and he was prepared. And in the car, I was thinking to myself, I can't wait to see him. I just can't wait to see all this practice that he's been doing. How's it gonna come up? So as we get there, we're walking in and we see a few kids and their parents, and I'm like, wow, there's a lot of kids here. We're talking a lot of kids, maybe close to 30 or 40 kids. And as I'm looking into the bleachers and we're checking in, his name was there. I go down the bleachers. As I'm walking towards the bleachers away from the check-in where I was going to leave him, he was behind me. And I said, what are you doing behind me? And he goes, my foot hurts. I said, what? He goes, well, my foot hurts. And all of a sudden, he developed a limp. He's limping. And I said, let me play along and see where this goes. So I sat down with him. I'm like, so what's going on? And he's like, yeah, Uncle Stanley, out of nowhere, my foot started hurting. And as he's saying this, he's looking sheepishly down on his foot, grabbing his right foot. And I looked at him and said, I thought it was your left foot. He goes, yes, the left foot. And he grabbed his left foot. So at that point, I figured out what it was. He was a little bit fearful. And I asked him point blank, are you scared? And he looked at me and said, no. I said, why not? I would be scared. In fact, 30 years ago, when I was in the same position you were in, walking in, and my parents dropped me off, I was terrified. Look around you. In fact, I started pointing out 4 or 5 kids, just by their behavior, how they were like off to the side, not speaking or interacting with anybody. They looked a little bit scared too. And I said, what do you think they're going through right now? And he's like, I don't know, but those 3 kids are great. Look how they're shooting. And he started going on about how appreciative he was of what he saw. And I said, wait, no, pull back. Those 5 kids to the side, what are they going through? And he said, well, they don't look very happy. I'm like, do you think they're scared right now? And he looked back and he knew where I was gonna go. And he said, yeah. Then I said, you know what, let me talk to you about this thing called fear. This thing called fear doesn't go away. It's with you right now at 13 years old, and it can stay with you until you're 33, 55, 60. I've had the pleasure of working with some mature people in our community, and they could be 70 or 80 and still have this fear that's been there for a very, very long time. It does not go away. So I started telling him, you know what? We could get into a deep conversation about self-improvement and self-esteem, but let's look at this word fear. Let's look at what it means to be fearful. You know, fear, I look at fear as an acronym, F.E.A.R. Forget everything and run. Forget everything and run. That can be a response to fear, and that's what he was doing. Not remembering nor recalling the practices he was doing yesterday. How he was in the car imagining him having the ball and doing all the moves that he wanted to do. He forgot about all that, and instead was looking at those he feels were possibly better than him. And he wants to forget everything and run. And I told him, you can do that, but when will you stop running? When will you stand up and say, no, I'm scared, but maybe they are too? Or maybe they are too. But eventually, when we face our fears and move forward, we change. So let's look at fear not as forget everything and run, but how about face everything and rise? Stand up to that opportunity. That's when you show what you're truly made of. That's when you show if you should really have that jersey on your back, or pass that test, or invite that young lady out on a date, or that young man out for a date. or go for that first job, go for your first house. I don't know. Take that first step out of the airplane and parachute, paraglide. I'm not sure. But those are all fearful things that we have to overcome. And it's every day we are given those opportunities to show the character, the content of our character, and what we can do to overcome. So we can't be fearful, have fear, and forget all the things that we want and run. But how about we forget everything that makes us scared and we rise? Think about that. He thought about it. And I guess the end of the story is he did not try out because maybe he needed some more time. But he did call me later on and tell me that he was appreciative of that and that he will do better. And from what his mother told me, he later on went back to that practice, or when his team got put together, whenever it was, his practice, and he's a standout. He faced those fears and was one of those leaders on the team, and he does that on a daily basis now. So that's just one thing we can think about when we look at fear. Not so much letting it paralyze us, but use it as freedom. Use it as an opportunity to show what we're made of and move forward with things. So that's it for now. All right, bye.